Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's studio sessions. We're very excited to be hosting you all today. Good morning to those of you joining from here in Australia, and good afternoon to any of our Kiwi friends on the call today. In today's session, we're going to be sharing our essential guide to advertising and ad studio and how you can unlock the power of audio attention for your brand. A little bit about us. So at Spotify, our role is to help businesses of all sizes grow through Spotify's self-serve advertising. My name is Simon, and I head up the S&B sales team from here in Sydney. And alongside me today on the call is my colleague, Amy. Before we jump into things, just a little bit of housekeeping. I want to remind you that interaction is very welcome during the session. We want this to be a dynamic conversation. However, just for ease of use, all your lines will be muted throughout the presentation and chat is disabled. But if you have a question, we still want to hear from you. So please use the Q&A window to submit them. And we're going to make sure we make time at the end of today's call to answer as many of those as we can. Lastly, we will follow up with an on-demand recording of this webinar in a couple of days. So feel free to share that around. And of course, no need to take notes on the call. So why are we here today? What we hear time and time again is that advertisers want to diversify their marketing mix, but they're not sure how. By the end of today's webinar, we want you to feel confident in incorporating digital audio into the mix, understanding how Spotify can become an essential element of any marketing plan. The playlist today looks like this. I'm going to start off by taking a deep dive into the benefits of digital audio. We'll share with you some of the latest research and a snapshot of Spotify's competitive advantage in today's market. Then Amy is going to take over and dig into Ad Studio, give you an overview of our self-serve targeting capabilities and formats, plus a preview of some of our latest product features. And we're lucky enough today to hear from one of our advertisers from here in Australia who took the time to allow me to interview them, which we'll share with you today. They'll take us through their Spotify journey and how they found success using Ad Studio. Finally, we'll end the session with the Q&A, so please do keep those questions coming throughout today's presentation. So let's start with the obvious question. Why should you consider using digital audio for your next campaign? The world around us, it's become increasingly distracting with more and more media competing for our attention. This media fragmentation and constant exposure impacts the quality of audience. And that's why attention has quickly become an accepted metric and fundamental consideration in media planning. However, there's been a missing piece with the exclusion of audio. Up until now, attention is predominantly focused on visual media, missing an integral part of that attention equation. Due to its one-to-one, intimate, low-clutter environment, digital audio has a unique ability to deliver a focused headspace with an active listener. Spotify offers marketers a unique opportunity to amplify attention performance and strengthen campaign outcomes. Today, we're going to show you how. We know that digital audio is growing. According to a recent report from GWI, consumers here in Australia are changing their habits, particularly around how they listen to audio. The average time spent per day listening to audio is rising, and it's forecast to continue rising over the next few years. And the slide is caught up. In Australia, we can see here in the graph, we've seen users more than double their time they spent streaming audio, with spending an average of 2.5 hours a day listening. Digital audio is exploding in popularity, whereas visual platforms are leaking attention due to screen fatigue. You'll often hear people say, I need to spend less time watching TV or less time in social media, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, I need to spend less time listening to music. We partnered with the research team over at NeuroInsight for a study, and they've shown that listening experience of digital audio significantly elevated brain activity, leading to higher memorability, engagement, and emotional intensity. And across these metrics, digital audio improved the experience by over 20%. We believe this boost is directly tied to digital audio's personalization and interactivity. Unlike traditional radio, digital audio lets people tailor what they're hearing, so it connects directly to their specific interests and the moment that they're in. Radio is a one-to-many medium, whereas with digital audio, you can understand your audience. You can be relevant and build one-to-one connections with listeners through specific targeting. Today, Spotify is the world's most popular audio platform. I'm excited to share we now have 500 million monthly active users globally and are available in 184 markets. As you can see, the split between ad-supported and premium users is around 60-40, and it's important to note there is no sign of decline in audience. People sign up to Spotify every second of every day. And this reach, we can see here locally in Australia. We know that more than 2/5 of the Australian population use Spotify weekly. So that's a very large chunk of people. Your audience is right here on the platform. Here you can see the scale and diversity of the users we have. No matter your target audience, you're able to reach them using Spotify advertising. We know that Spotify is popular amongst all ages, but particularly popular amongst that younger demographic. That can be hard to reach through traditional media. 53% of our audience is in that harder to reach demo of between the ages of 16 and 34. The majority of streams are happening on mobile. I don't think that's a surprise for anyone. And just, to clarify, these stats are for our ad-supported tier. A common misconception about Spotify when it comes to ad-supported versus premium is the quality of the audience isn't the same. However, here you can see that's not the case. It works like a funnel. The majority of people who are paying for Spotify have started on ad-supported. And we know that this is a high-educated, high-income audience who are ready to invest in great products. So how does Spotify compare to other media types? We know that across all media, Spotify adds incremental reach. Here in Australia, Spotify adds 23% average incremental reach on radio, 25% on TV, and 19% on other digital platforms. Spotify's reach is significant, and our audience is engaged. As I mentioned earlier, we reach over 2/5 of the Australian online population. That's outranking all major radio networks and major digital platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, and Twitter. And our reach goes deeper than those brands too. We're not just connecting with millions, we're engaging with them on a hyper-personal level for an average of 2.5 hours a day. Let's look at engagement level just a little bit closer. We're not just talking about other audio formats. Neuro Insights research found that Spotify drove higher engagement than TV, digital video, and social media as well. And that's a testament to the power of audio. Spotify's deeply personalized platform seems to create a more engaging experience than watching a TV show on the couch or passively scrolling through social media feeds and not even realizing you're being targeted by an ad. Whereas with Spotify, from the get-go, you're having a much more engaging and personal experience. So why is engagement and listenership so high? Digital audio is everywhere. It can reach anyone during any moment of the day, filling in key gaps in that consumer journeys. Brands have the opportunity to reach their target audience during the moments that really matter and also drive impact by being 100% relevant thanks to our streaming intelligence. Our users are logged in when they listen to Spotify. This means we can understand how the same person streams across their devices throughout the day. The more our users stream, the more we understand them. This understanding is what allows us to curate content for them and serve up relevant podcasts and playlists we know that they'll love. And most importantly, to all of us on the call here today, it's also the same technology that enables us to deliver the most relevant advertiser message to them in exactly the right moment. Whether users are actively looking at the app or playing music in the background, we serve up the right format that gets their attention. One of the most interesting aspects of digital audio is the way it reaches listeners all day, every day, literally 24 hours a day. Whether listeners are walking, reading, cooking, studying, shopping for groceries, there is a place for audio. So what are you waiting for? No matter what users are doing, we are part of their daily routine. You have the opportunity to accompany our users anywhere and be always on and top of mind amongst our audience. This is something that really sets Spotify apart. Handing over to Amy now, who's going to take you through our next section.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon. So I hope everyone got some great information out of that into the insights and audience metrics of Spotify. So now that we've chatted through those benefits, let's chat more about how you can take action today. So whether it's helping your clients advertise their brand or you advertising your own brand to the millions of listeners on Spotify, it's super simple with our self-serve ad manager, Spotify Ad Studio. You can essentially set up an account in minutes and collaborate with teammates across campaigns and accounts. We have flexible budgets as well. So you're able to book audio and video campaigns directly on Spotify with flexible budgets, and then also have full control over how those budgets are actually spent. We also have powerful targeting options based on how users are streaming playlists and podcasts, as you may have heard Simon mention earlier. So you're really able to target them in those relevant moments. And a really great added benefit included with Ad Studio is our free audio production service. So essentially, you can provide us a script, you choose from a library of background tracks, work with professional voice actors, and get access to a professional audio mixing, all within Ad Studio. And this service is completely free. It's just included as an added value for all your campaigns that you run on Spotify. Or if you've got it handled and you've got your own audio assets, you can simply upload your own finished creative. And lastly, Ad Studio gives you access to real-time reporting on your ad performance and budget pacing throughout the campaign. So you can essentially track your clients' goals or your own goals and adjust those strategies on the fly. Let's dive a little bit deeper into reaching your brand's audience and delivering that right message in the right moment. So firstly, connecting with your target audience across platforms with our first-party age and gender data. So you can also reach listeners in a specific country, state, postcode, city. And just for your own knowledge, we do serve ads based on the current location where the audio is being streamed. So this is really, really important for our advertisers to know, particularly when you are doing postcode targeting or city-based targeting. Then you can actually choose from additional targeting options based on what and how listeners stream. So what we've got is genre of music. So deliver your message immediately after a user has listened to a specific music genre. You've got real-time context, which is reaching your listeners as they stream in specific moments throughout their day. So this can also be known as playlist targeting. And then we've got interests. So reaching audiences based on the activities and topics they're passionate about. And this is mainly informed by their podcast and playlist preferences or streaming habits. Now let's look at the formats that you can choose from. So audio, which is the most obvious kind of ad format capability on digital audio. But with audio ads, they are served in screenless moments. They are there to maximize your reach. They include a clickable banner, so you can still have listeners taking action straight away. And they can be up to 30 seconds long. But what we have seen over the last few years is that 1 in every 5 minutes spent on the platform is actually within app view. And this is where we serve video ads. So video ads are served in the screen time moments. They also have a clickable banner so people can take action and click through to your site. And they can also be up to 30 seconds long in either horizontal or vertical format. Our goal is essentially not to waste any of your impressions. So whether users are actively looking at the app or just playing music in the background, we serve the right format at the right time so that the users can get that you can get the user's attention effectively. And while standalone formats perform well, we know that combining both video with audio can help reinforce your message. So a multi-format campaign has shown a 1.9 times greater increase in ad recall and a 2.2 times greater increase in brand awareness. So using that multi-format approach will really help you maximize your campaign's impact and really succeed with the goals that you're trying to achieve. So now you've got some amazing creative sorted. You must be thinking, which strategy should I take to drive the most impact for my creatives? Well, as part of our auction model, you can choose from 3 goals depending on how you'd like your ads to be delivered. And on the screen here, you can see where each goal relates to with each part of the marketing funnel. So firstly, we've got a reach goal. So we'll aim to reach as many unique listeners as possible for your message. So this goal is best for the advertisers who want to build awareness across a large audience base. And then we've got impressions delivery. So we'll aim to deliver as many impressions as possible to your target audience. And this goal is best for advertisers who really want to keep their brand or product top of mind and build further consideration. And finally, we've got our newest addition to the platform, which is our click goal. And let's dive a little further into the click goal. I'm not sure if the screen has updated here. It seems to be lagging today a little bit, but let's get into it. So with click goals, we optimize your ads to deliver more clicks by delivering ads to people who are more likely to click, and by accompanying your audio ads with a clickable call to action card. So the combination of click goal and call to actions cards deliver a 2 times increase in the click-through rate compared to the impressions and reach bidding. This has been really, really exciting to launch, actually, because we know a lot of brands have a lower funnel focus. So it's good to see that we're moving in the right direction for our businesses. And essentially, ads on a digital platform audio platform are mostly screenless. So to put it in simple terms, when we think about call to action cards, they're really there for users to click at a more convenient time. They are a card that comprises of your ad creative's companion image, the clickable call to action that you've selected, and your tagline. And this format will show up across the Spotify app, helping users to engage with the relevant ads that have actually come and gone. And for your knowledge, this card will resurface across Spotify for up to 8 hours of stream time after your ad has been served. Just to note as well, this is available for audio ads only. Now, I do want to put you in the mind of a listener for a moment here when we talk about call to action cards. So a listener is working out, they're listening to their favorite pump up playlist, they're exposed to your ad, but cannot get to their phone to click through in that moment. Later on throughout the day, they're going to add that Unreal Dom Dollar song that they've heard when they were doing their hard, intense workout. They're adding it to their playlist, and that's when that call to action card actually comes into impact. So they see the card under their recently heard ads, they're recognizing the brand, they're remembering that ad message, and that's when they take action and they click through. So I hope that gave you some good information on our new goal, our click goal, and our call to action cards. But another new feature to the platform are daily budgets. So when you set your daily budget, essentially what we're doing is optimizing your spend each day based on the current demand. So this is with the aim to deliver your ads efficiently while maintaining a consistent campaign spend. And you can act on learnings and achieve your desired outcomes with ease. So keep track of the daily performance, and then you can shift spend, whether that's increasing or decreasing that daily budget, or shifting spend entirely to your winning campaigns to reach your ad goals. You can do that really easily in the platform. So I hope that gives you some good information on how you can take action right now. But this is really exciting. We're about to hear from a client of ours, Destination Gold Coast. They're going to chat to you about their experience with Ad Studio. So I hope you enjoy this video.
Hi, everyone, and a big thank you to Shiv, who is joining us from Destination Gold Coast. Shiv, thanks for the time today. I'll allow you to introduce yourself to everybody on the call today.
Thank you, Simon. My name is Shivanand Nabar, and I've had the privilege of working in digital marketing for over a decade now in diverse different industries in India as well as in Australia. And I'm currently thrilled to be a part of Destination Gold Coast, where I've been working since 2021. At Destination Gold Coast, I oversee all paid campaigns, which range from the big brand campaigns to our always-on ads to tactical campaigns that we do. And my role is to enhance the visitation to Gold Coast through the ad campaign. So it's been a wonderful journey to promote a stunning city that I now call home. So I'm really enjoying the experience working for Destination Gold Coast.
Amazing. Thank you for that. So Shiv, if you could tell us a little bit more about Destination Gold Coast, what got you and the team interested, I guess, in audio advertising in the first place.
Right. So we've been present on audio advertising for a while. I think for us, what stands out is it has a remarkable potential to connect with our target audience in a compelling and engaging way. And it gives us a unique opportunity to reach people during their daily routines, whether they're commuting or exercising, or just simply enjoying their favorite music or podcast. So it's a really engaging and non-intrusive way to interact with users.
That's great. And specifically about Spotify, if you can talk about what brought you to Spotify as that choice for your audio advertising solution.
Yeah, so we've been experimenting with different audio ad platforms, and I think Spotify stood out to us as an ideal platform for our needs. So Spotify does have an immense reach in Australia, and that is something that was highly attractive to us, especially because we dwell more in the top of funnel brand awareness campaigns that we do. So Spotify gave us that wide reach. I think along with that, what really helped us make the decision was the data-driven approach that Spotify has with the targeting capabilities. We could just say what kind of audience we were trying to reach out to, and then the Spotify team kind of give us recommendations on what podcasts they listen to, what kind of themes, genres of music they are interested in, and that kind of made it really easy for us. I think another thing that kind of stands out is the commitment that Spotify has to innovation and staying at the forefront of audio streaming, and I think that's quite evident with a lot of updates that we're seeing on Spotify, not just on the consumer side, but in the ad buying process as well.
Brilliant. Great to hear that. And I think you touched upon it a little bit there, but if you could just elaborate again your experience about working with Ad Studio as a platform, what did you find was the most useful or maybe the most insightful features within the tool?
Yeah, so Ad Studio has been quite, what I found was quite easy and intuitive to use. Apart from that, I think the team that sits behind the Ad Studio platform has been really helpful for us. Shout out to Dan Kelly, who's been working with us since pretty much the first campaign, and he's been quite helpful. As I said earlier, we would just sit and let him know what kind of audience we wanted to reach, and he would give us recommendations. We did a few brainstorming sessions as well. Another really cool feature of Ad Studio has been the voiceover recordings that we can use. So I think we just provide you guys with a script, and we can choose the age of the voiceover artist, even the accents. And that has really given us some creative flexibility on how we use Spotify to promote the Gold Coast. So one of the examples is doing dynamic kind of ads. So for example, if it's rainy, gloomy weather in Melbourne over the weekend, we could just remind people that, hey, we have 300 days of sunshine on the Gold Coast, and how amazing it is to just be, sunbathing by the beach when, it's rainy and gloomy in Melbourne. And we can do that by just looking at, what kind of weather is forecasted on in Melbourne or other major cities.
That's great. Not in rainy Melbourne, but Sydney has not been as sunny as it likes to be of late recently. And yeah, definitely been exposed to some of those ads, and very, very tempted by the idea of some sunshine at the Gold Coast. Could you talk a little bit just then about the specifics of the most recent campaign then, and what you've ran on Spotify?
Sure. So we did two different campaigns for two different audiences. So the first campaign was called the Play the Day Away campaign, and that's our main brand campaign that's targeted at our core audience of families, who we also like to call Twix. That's travelers with kids. And so the whole idea behind the campaign is you can play the day away in the only destination where you can surf world-class waves, hike through ancient rainforests, something that people don't realize when they hear Gold Coast, they don't think of rainforest. So that's something that we've highlighted. You could be sipping cocktails by a luxurious pool, or squealing on a roller coaster. And you can do all of these activities in the same day, so you can go from a theme park to a beach in less than 30 minutes or 30 to 45 minutes. So there's a lot that you can do on the Gold Coast with your family, and we're trying to position Gold Coast as the ultimate destination to create lasting memories with your family. The second campaign is for what we call Talks, that's travelers without kids. So it not only includes your sinks and dings, but also mom and dad who are traveling with their friends. So it could be, or just by themselves without their kids. So that could be, going for mates bachelors, or maybe just going on your second honeymoon. And when you travel with your kids, it's a different kind of an experience. And when you travel without kids, you have the freedom and luxury of exploring things that you wouldn't normally do. And so that campaign at Play has been highlighting the different experiences that you can take on the Gold Coast when you're not with your kids.
Yes, as someone with two kids, I can categorically say travel is very different when you've got kids. And as much as you can, you feel comfortable, it'd be great if you can share some of the results you've seen on Spotify from those campaigns.
Sure. So I think just a few things that I would like to highlight is we saw quite an extended reach in addition to what we would have received from our normal platforms. So because Spotify does have that wide reach, in almost, if not everyone, but a lot of people in Australia use Spotify. So we've been able to get that massive brand visibility and connect with a large number of potential travelers to the Gold Coast. One more result that was quite good for us was the high ad completion rate. So we surpassed the industry benchmark for what the completion rates are in Australia. And that was really good to see, because that just kind of ensure, we got the feedback that people are listening to our ads and they are engaging with them. So they're listening the ad all the way through. And the last thing that I would like to call out, the high click-through rates. So even for audio ads, the click-through rates were really good, and especially we were, I think, one of the first advertisers to make use of the click-based ads that Spotify has launched in Australia, and that was something really good for us to see, the amount of clicks records through the audio ads that we did for both the campaigns.
That's awesome to hear. Shiv, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today and sharing the insights from your most recent campaign. And yeah, hopefully we will see you on the Gold Coast at some point in the future.
Yeah, we're ready to see you on the Gold Coast here. So yeah.
Thank you, Shiv.
Thank you.
Big thank you to Shiv from Destination Gold Coast for sharing his story there with us, and thank you to Past Me as well. It's now time for Q&A. So I can see we've had a good few questions come through in the Q&A. We're going to be answering as many of those as we can do with the time allotted to us. Please do keep adding in those questions throughout our Q&A session as well. If we don't get time to get to them, we will be leaving you with following up with some information about how to get in touch with us after the webinar as well, if it needs a bit more explanation and going into it. So let me just get our questions up. So thanks again for everybody who's submitting it. We've got a few different people asking probably the same question in different ways. So hopefully I can kind of combine these together to give an answer to many of you. So there is a few questions around the scale of Spotify in terms of the numbers of Spotify free users in Australia and New Zealand, or combined. Amy, are you able to speak to those numbers, please?
Yeah. So Spotify free users. So we aren't able to share first-party user metrics at a country or a regional level. For like directional purposes, though, you can refer to the Comscore stats. So with that, Spotify reached 12 million unique listeners in Australia, New Zealand, and the ad-supported tier versus premium kind of mirrors the global numbers that Simon shared earlier in the presentation, so about 60-40.
Thank you, Amy. And I think just elaborate on that, there's some questions around some of the data we shared in, I guess, my section around the demographics. That data relates to our ad-supported tier, so not all Spotify as well. So we're talking about the demographic insights, some of the the educated and income insights that is related to the ad-supported tier. There's a few questions have come in specific to podcasts and targeting podcasts, running on podcasts within Australia, New Zealand. So for the moment, across Australia and New Zealand, all the ads that are delivered on Spotify are delivered to users when they're listening to music. However, we know podcasts is an exploding, opportunity within the audio space. So it's very, very top of mind. We're hoping to have an update around podcasts for Australia and New Zealand via Ad Studio in the very, very, very near future. Today, within the UK, Canada, US, so the other English-speaking markets, it is accessible. So it is very much on the roadmap and is very much coming soon. But right now, you can still target listeners who are listening to podcasts, based on that information is what feeds into our interest targeting while they're listening to music on Spotify as well. Some questions around creative guidelines and best practice around making audio. How do we stand out, be successful in terms of script? We've got the free tool. Amy, can you talk a little bit about creative best practice and guidelines?
Yeah. So we do have a lot of guidelines. So we published a resource article to help you write your first audio script. In this article, we break down the basics of how we script an audio ad. But if you're looking for any sort of additional creative support, check out some of the tips and insights on ads.spotify, the news and insights page. That's where we have a lot of information. And as well as that, we do regular live webinars like this one. So we do have previous webinars published online that do actually run through creative best practice as well.
Thank you, Amy. There are a few questions related to targeting. So questions around the availability of retargeting, how do we target users in specific moments, and a question related around, particular verticals. So banking and finance was called out. So I guess the answer to the first part of the question, at this moment, we're not able to offer retargeting or ingestion of any of your own data into the targeting within Ad Studio. It is all powered off our own first-party data, but always be on the lookout for new features coming soon. In relation to targeting with the moments or particular interests, or particular verticals, you can see in the Ad Studio platform itself, we've got kind of a whole range of targeting options from what you would expect, obviously geo, demographic targetings, but we also have interest targeting. And that's when based on those contextual moments or sort of interest or passions of our users. And this is based from the consumption habits. So the playlists they've listened to, so you're able to target, fitness or even running. That's based on people like listening to those specific playlists. Things like, business and finance, that's based more on their podcast consumption as well. So there's a full list of targeting options within there, and that's all powered off our own first-party data, that streaming intelligence that I talked about as well. Amy, there's another question here specific to, I guess, the creative, and there's a few more around it just in terms of your slide on audio or video, or how do we decide which is best to use, or which guidance would we give to advertisers?
Yeah, cool. This is a good question, one that we get quite regularly. So, do you use audio or do you use video or do you use both? As I mentioned, it's super effective to be combining the two because they do have their different strengths. So audio is delivered in those screenless moments. You can create a very personal one-to-one connection with the listener when that happens. But audio, it's essentially going to get you maximum reach, as a lot of stream time on digital audio platform like Spotify is in screenless moments. Video or display ads, they're delivered when people are actively in the app or on the screen. And as I mentioned, 1 in every 5 minutes is spent in app view, which is very interesting. But that's when you can really engage with the listener or the viewer, and showcase your product or service. So they each come with those kind of different aspects, but as we said, combining them, using them simultaneously is just a very, very strong campaign strategy.
Thank you, Amy. A couple of questions come in just around where Spotify sits in that funnel. A couple of people asking about, is this only suitable, I guess, for the brand awareness, those reach objectives, or how do we see it meeting like lower funnel, lead generation, those kind of metrics? And I think it's important to consider where audio sits. It's really an effective way of reaching a kind of a very wide audience of really highly engaged users in a really impactful way. I think what we discussed today is what's unique about audio is it's filling in those sort of unreachable gaps. Amy talked about screenless moments, those times when we're not looking at a screen, we're not looking at our phone. Audio is able to reach you there and kind of fill in those gaps in the consumer journey. So we've seen from meta-analysis what we've done that this leads to higher ad recall, higher brand awareness, but also purchase intent. And of course, as Amy touched upon as well, we are also looking at expanding what we're able to in terms of our objectives and your buying options within the platform, starting with clicks and with more to come as well. So that's when we can optimize ad delivery based on a user's likelihood of taking action on your ad. So actually clicking and following through as well. A few more questions. I'm trying to, apologies, I would almost certainly say we're not going to be able to get through everybody today, but I want to just sort of cover off as many as I can for you guys. One question around access to account management services. So we absolutely have a great team here that we want to support all advertisers on the platform. We obviously, look at investment levels from advertisers in terms of what we can do to support, but we recommend everybody get started. We proactively reach out to as many advertisers as we can to help support you guys on the journey. But there's also a huge myriad of resources online that's available for you as well. Also would like to talk a little bit about measurement as well. I can see there's a couple of questions in there. So we do support, third-party reporting within the platform, much like you'd be familiar with other ad manager platforms. If you want to use UTM tags, whatever you use for your reporting. As of today, there's not a pixel within Spotify, so we do not have that level of insight. But again, this is part of our development roadmap and plans. We hope to be able to update you guys in the very near future about our own measurement solutions as well. I think that's probably all that we're going to have time to get through today. Apologies to those of you who we didn't get to your question. I can see there's a lot coming in, a lot that are very specific, I think, to particular advertisers and cases. What we'll be doing post this is obviously we'll be following up with emails after the event. In there's going to be information about how you can get in contact with us and how you can speak to an ad studio representative as well, if that's something you would like to do. I want to thank everybody for your time today. I want to thank Shiv as well for sharing his story on the Destination Gold Coast, and Amy as well. You can see on screen here, and we'll leave this up for you guys as well. There is a QR code that will take you to a very short survey, just feedback on today's presentation. We really value that feedback from you guys about how we can make these sessions even better as well. I want to thank you again for your time on today's call. We will follow up tomorrow with more details about how to get started and how you can speak to an ad studio representative. But in the meantime, I urge you all to check out ads.spotify.com. There you'll find all the information you would need and how to get started today on advertising on Spotify. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.